So with respect to Lukusawin Hanse, so we are now going to start English Dhamma discussion. Actually, we were discussing Tissa Metteya Sutta, which is available in Sutta Nipata, which is one of the books available in Kuddaka Nikaya. And in Tissa Metteya Sutta, Venerable Tissa Metteya approached the Buddha and asked certain question. And we were discussing a couple of verses from that sutta. And it is basically discussing about kind of the sexual intercourse, that when someone is, while being in the robes, if he is thinking of that, and again if he is leaving the order and then involving in such kind of sexual intercourse, what would be the repercussions, consequences? So that is the question that Venerable Tissa Metteya is asking from the Buddha. So as we discussed last time, Buddha then actually explaining in detail, so what are the sort of consequences, how others may consider him, and what would be the attitude that other people might have about this particular person, and what are the kind of downfall which is happening in this person. So likewise, Buddha slowly explaining one by one what would be the situation when someone is while being as a monk, if one is involved with this kind of a situation, or after he get disrobed and continue as a lay person, what would be the kind of attitude that one would be having about him. So that kind of a topic is included in this Tissa Metteya Sutta. So that is the kind of basic introduction I can give you. And maybe Lukusawin Hanse can explain further, and I'll take the next verse for the discussion.
Yeah, with that background, for the first three verses, we try to get the translation, Buddha Jayanti as well as Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. And there were some straightening of the basic theme. And with that, now we are going to start the fourth version, if I am correct.
Yes, Swamin Hanse.
Yeah, so I don't have the book for the moment, I can find quickly, but therefore please read it for me.
Yeah, so the fourth version goes like this. Yaso kittincha yapubbe hayate vapi tassa sa etampi diswa sikheta metunang vippahatave. Yaso kittincha yapubbe hayate vapi tassa sa etampi diswa sikheta metunang vippahatave. So I'll read the Sinhala meaning first.
Yes.
පෙර මහන බැව්හිදී ඔහුගේ යම් යසසෙක්ද කීර්තියෙක්ද වීනම් ඒ යශස හා කීර්තිය පිරිහේමැයි. මේ යශස් කීර්ති හානිය දැක මෙවුම් දම් දුරලනු සඳහා ත්‍රිවිධ ශික්ෂායෙහි හික්මෙන්නේයි. So I invite Venerable Dhammavijita to tell the English meaning as well.
Whatever fame and acclaim he previously enjoyed, these fall away from him. Having seen this, one should train to abandon sexual intercourse.
Okay, that this is basically related to the recluse, or otherwise we can say it is for the ordained monks or nuns. So others may easily escape. This is not relevant to us because we are not. But when I was a lay person, I was concerned about this kind of thing, and what does it mean by the celibacy? What does it mean by sikha? Sikha means that restraint. So is it unwanted thing you are going to put into a neck, or is it something possible? So this is the one was in a critical point. Because everyone, when they are eating and doing all the other kind of thing, this sexual urge is happening. It is natural, otherwise it's a disease. So I had a very fair chance to directly discuss with Venerable Dhammika and tell him. He told that what you are telling is nothing special. This is for the normal young guy. So it is not illegal. It is not unethical. It is not against your chemical body. So therefore, lucky enough, we can discuss. So Tissametteya, during the time of the Buddha, directly asking, what will happen if you break the precept of celibacy as a recluse? So today, all monks are broken. There is no, only very few struggling. They have no clue. They are trying their best. But for the last 40 years, I found that number is increasing. That number is increasing as well as nuns. So, of course, we are fighting each other, but we have to be very, very respectful, not for the arahanthood, not for anything, but they are maintaining the celibacy. It is not a joke. And whenever Jnana-Veera, not the Jnana-Veera, the recently died that German monk, he told, I don't know how to do it, but please get escape. Don't transgress.
Jnana Vimala Swaminasa. German Jnana Vimala.
So with Katakurti Jnananda Swami, he has told to enable Katakurti Jnananda, he says, and in this book, he says, please, don't get committed. No one can rescue you. Definitely. But I don't know how to do it. I try my best. But people consider everyone is equal. Why should we treat the celibate people separately? But they are in such a tightrope walking, such a balancing. So therefore, others are not so, others are also serious. But this is the break-even point. That's the break-even point. So therefore, this question itself is quite natural. But religious people don't like. They say not to ask this kind of question from Buddha. It is, there is something wrong. So then what to do? Lucky enough, Sutta Nipasa completely given full cross-section. There's no editing. There's no adding of condiments. No anything, just given. So therefore special language. So therefore Buddha says whatever may be, claiming you have celibacy and still if you are transgressing, finished. Everything finished. Within 1 minute. So knowing that, how to do, but that doesn't know, we have to do. So therefore please, I may recognize each and every thought moment of celibacy. Each and every thought moment of mindfulness, not covering the 100% celibacy, but that is the most runners-up, best loser, competitor, next to the Nibbana, next to the Arahanthood. So that is what I can claim. I can ask anyone, please be mindful. And it is our duty to tell them, according to our understanding, this is what does it mean by mindfulness. It is not Nibbana, but there is a way. So therefore, this part may be very difficult to understand for the mindful children. They are very young, they have not attained to their age. But present day, it is, during our time, easily children attain into their age because of the chemicals and the advertisement, so they are without any clue. So sex education is recommended in Sri Lanka, and the Buddhist monks, they were not happy. And there was a director, lucky or unlucky, he was not Buddhist. He says, it's a wrong thing that we ask this question from the monks. We in the education ministry should have taken it. Monk says, these few children, of course, fallen into this trap. They are not recluse. But therefore, by teaching, you are asking each and every child to learn sex. So it is bad. And balancing. This is about the education. So it is, we in Satipasal also facing this question, how far we are going. So I started children welfare and abusive females abusing, that kind of thing. They changed the name, children welfare, not the abusing children. Just use the children welfare, and they are going to have a meeting, and we are going to talk about telling how can we give the security for the children. Instead, their parents are abusing them. And the probation department is abusing them. So what to tell? So can Satipasala take that, shoulder that? I mean, not completely, but we can do something. So therefore, this is exclusively for the monks. They have declared or taken the vow of celibacy, but very good. Any precepts you have taken have some relevance to this kind of thing, and this is all the peak of the tanha, celibate, the sexual intercourse, but all the other precepts are under the shadow of this main precepts. So therefore, each and every precept must have this kind of a consideration.
Sorry, Bante. Now, as far as the Satipasala concerned, and also youth and children are concerned, there was a book called Udavu Yavana that was developed, I think, jointly by the Health Ministry, Education, and I think Education Department also. Now, in that, they give the chemical development of a child during coming to the age. So I think we can use that to a certain extent. That this is a change that coming in your body as far as developing or passing through years, and we have to be concerned about that. As the Swaminathan mentioned earlier, that is the tanha, and that is the maximum limit of that. So rather than going for the maximum limit, just how we have to control ourselves. So as Satipasala, we can introduce that we can use mindfulness to curb down or control that craving. So that's what I wanted to say.
So that as far as that children or people, those who are not committing the adultery, they can understand Sattamaituna Sutta. It is before going to this sexual intercourse, there are 7 stages: Dassana, Savana, Samullepana, Sansagga, before Sansagga, Sangyoga, Sansagga. So when you are going to that, so therefore Dassana Savana is ever promoting at home, at the school. And then children that unwantedly get stirred up. They are catalyzed. So they don't know where to stop. And then Samullepana, touching each other and hugging each other, and parties, and ultimately intercourse. So Venerable Shenukani Chandavimala put that into the syllabus for the novices. This is Satta Maituna Dharma. So you just see early signs of this transgression. So that is the restraint. So therefore monks, that is the Aranya life is not to give that kind of thing. So normal householders, they don't like forest living. They want to have, but by pressing a button, have all the visual thing. They think they have a human right. And they must have something to hear, smell, taste, touch. And they say this is a human right. That is the government is going to give maximum visual objects and visual sounds and kind of things. So they are full due to the artificial intelligence. And then ask them to restrain. How to do? Yeah, Mangala Sakkala is that means that we are always promoting it and try to cut the end. So it is not a social issue, it's an individual issue for myself. As far as we are giving visuals and kind of thing, how much we are succumb to this kind of a thing, and when that happen, no mercy, capital punishment, your celibate life is finished, parajika. So on the way, how much you are restraining? No, I can't share with this anyone. I have to take care about my eye, ear, nose, tongue. So therefore, luckily we started before. Now we are in a tightening rope, tightening nuts and bolts to keep that in a safety area, comfort zone. So when we are going to the children and those who are not fallen into trap, they will say we are unwantedly cut off our human senses, our human entertainment. Because presently there are no news, everything is an entertainment. So everything is being turned into entertainment, ultimately end up with this kind of a breaking of celibacy. So that is why therefore this Dhamma is gone into the Sutta Nipata. No one is opened this book. They are opening other Jataka stories and Siddhartha Kumara Upatti and all the kind of thing. But what the Siddhartha Gautama explained, what the Tissamettaya is asked, is very advanced, but they want to have that slack life. So therefore it is difficult. And that is why the monks, they have to take care about the lay people, because they wanted to have that soft end and still have a celibate life, protect the Buddhism in Sri Lanka and all the kind of thing. But what about the non-Buddhist, and what about the children, and what about the disabled people? Nowhere. This is for the full-bodied, able-bodied people, this discourse. But they are not happy to talk about this kind of thing. They wanted to go to the nightclub. They want to have a casino. And government is finding ways to open the bars during the Corona time. But otherwise people are going for illegal drinking. So government loses the money. So then under such circumstances, very difficult to talk about Tissamettaya Sutta. Okay, that is all we can talk about this thing, how do you call it? For fourth verse, we can foresee it Venerable Chandraratana.
එහෙමයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ. The fifth verse going like this. සංකප්පේහි පරතෝසෝ කපනෝ විය ජායති. සුත්වා පරේසං නිග්ඝෝසං මංකු හෝති තථා විදෝ. සංකප්පේහි පරතෝසෝ කපනෝ විය ජායති. සුත්වා පරේසං නිග්ඝෝසං මංකු හෝති තථා විදෝ. Sinhala meaning goes like this. කාමාදී සංකල්පයෙන් මැඩුණු ඒ සිවුරුළු දිලින්දෙකු සෙයින් සිතයි. එබඳු පුඟුල් උපාධ්‍යාදී අන්‍යයන්ගේ වදන් අසා මතු වන්නේයි.
මකු.
එහෙමයි. මකු වන්නේයි. මකු වන්නේයි. So I invite Venerable Dhammajiva to read the English meaning.
Oppressed by his thoughts, he broods like a poor wretch. Having heard the reprimand of others, one such as this is humiliated.
You have to read it again, louder, please.
Oppressed by his thoughts, he broods like a poor wretch. Having heard the reprimand of others, one such as this is humiliated.
Yeah, it is a very, very common kind of translation. The Sinhalese translation is very organic, that's more detailed. But the thing is, there are the commentators' views also there. So whenever someone is stepped back or the disrobed, so they are become very poor. They in Sri Lanka we call Hiralua. That present day Sri Lankan Buddhism is based on Hiralua's hand. All the topmost people are Hiralu. But Burma, everyone is. Everyone get the temporary monkhood and everyone is Hiralua. But in Sri Lanka, consider them as, usually after disrobing, they are leaving the village. They go to other village so that they don't know. So that means they lose the base. And I also knew few, and even the housewife, their wife, don't like to accept at home. Because he can't do either home or disrobe. So, lost it. And later, when the teachers are still try to give maku, gunamaku. Gunamaku means telling that my disrobe is due to teacher. They are wrong. And they are smearing, tarnishing the teachers this thing. And during the time of the Buddha, there were, especially from the Sakyan clan, he told, I went to the Buddha and I became monk, but I know there is nothing. And ultimately he was big shot. And Ananda and others were so ashamed because he is a Sakyan clan and became Buddha. He says, I look at him, but there's nothing special. So this is very, very common. So I found while I am living also towards Venerable Jnanarama. No one can surpass him. But they don't like that path. They are taking off and then cut off his name. Slowly, deleted his name and instead boosting others. So while when Jnanarama was living, one day there were the funeral of such a big shot, and we are not participating naturally. But Kapakaru, the attendant went there and he came. One day, such a grandeur funeral ceremony and blah, 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 and everyone is coming and talking and all the kind of thing. I was not aware. He was such a big shot, but you have to go and see. So he left, and then the Lokahamdra told me, if someone is unwantedly phrasing someone, that's a kind of indirect insult to the Buddha. Buddha is the one only you can give endless phrasing. But that normal people, if you are going to give that kind of a phrasing, that means you are neglecting or avoiding, or you are insulting invariably to the Buddha. So shut your mouth up. Tell the truth. He is a good man, no problem. But phrase like that, that is definitely the Keju Kalakanda Dhamma. That is phrasing to get something out of that. So therefore, the disrobe people, often when they were upon is reprimanding, giving advices, maku. Maku, there's another phrase, backward. Gunamaku is the normal thing. It's tarnishing others, and he don't go forward, not due to upekha. Because of his, the Abakapikage Molidana Wage, he is having that kind of backwardness. And my Sinhalese teacher, and when I was in school, two people were disrobed, and Sinhala teacher was very good. He was a monk and he was the steward, sub-warden in the Peradeniya Sangara. So we used to go there, and he had call in the radio station and giving the Pirit Sajjayana overnight, and we were very happy. All of a sudden he disrobed. And then became a joke. Ultimately he married, and his wife left him, very innocent girl, and ultimately he cooked himself and eat, and all of a sudden dead. And I also used to go to that place, and says, in his pot of curry, there was a rotten rat. So something happened. No one knows. Because he used to have the supreme food and everything cooked and given. But ultimately he started cooking and he is eaten his own poison. So that's what happened. I have a number of such stories you also may have. But I'm telling is, his mentality becomes so inferior, and therefore not having celebrated different issue. But declaring it and not living up to that, it's a present day monkshood. This is called rogue behind a robe. Rogues are lying behind the robe. All the religious masters. So there were some interfaith psychiatric course and all the kind of thing. And all the female ordained people, they knows how the ordained males are doing, what they are doing. Each and every sect, each and every religion, and they says, not I am telling that all the females are 100% good, but the males are. So this become a uniform. They are taking this uniform and they don't know it is symbolizing celibacy. Ultimately they are using it, therefore very difficult. So I am not in 100% pure or 100% accusation situation, but I am so happy. From 1998, I came to Nissarana, and it was a very good decision I have taken, and I can openly tell, and even to date, that background is there. So you can mind your own business, be mindful and wait. But otherwise, if it happened, going to happen, Sattamaituna Dharma, and step back, there's nothing separate hell or Netherland, you are in the hell. So that is what the Tistametta is telling, arousing, and the Buddha is expressing. But this translation is very, very common. But Sinhalese one is very organic. You can expand further. But English one is very, being in the safe land, given the translation. A thought is considered as the sankhara. It is not well accepted in the Sri Lankan way of translation. And reprimand is the upajjaya, that is his own old teacher. They are very social issues, just not reprimanding. Reprimanded by a authorized person or non-person, that kind of things are there. So, but anyway, being this is in English medium, we must get the views from different. And Sutta Nipata, we have at least 7 translations so far. Bhikkhu Bodhi is one. There are a lot of other translations. I think there are PTS translation and others. There may be some version, but I think Bhikkhu Bodhi is well versed about all kind of thing, and he has given like a monk. So we can just reduce everything into Bhikkhu Bodhis. So if anyone is not Chandratana Amru, there were some questions, I think from the Rockhampton, but they are from very, very young children. So I think for this topic and that children may not tally. So therefore, because I was, due to COVID, I have not covered that session. Venerable some Dhammasarana covered, but 3 questions left. So I would like to ask Kamal or Anusha, please write to me. I will try to give a written answer rather than joining them to this discussion.
Yeah, I don't know, Swamin Hansa, who is joining. I think today usually someone else is conducting, not Anusha or Kamal.
No, they are doing only they are doing on the Monday, 9 o'clock. But
right.
they are Sunday.
Sorry,
But
yes,
they
yes.
are leftovers.
Yeah.
So whenever Dhammajiva has invited them to come for today's English medium.
Rockhampton.
Yeah, Rockhampton. But sometimes I will ask them to write it in, present it in a written form. I will answer.
Yeah.
So if anyone is having any question, I am opening, and otherwise we are going to go to next verse.
Avasarayamante, we received a short question, including those 3 questions from Rockhampton.
Yeah.
One report from Vanaya. Is it possible for me to present that?
Yeah, try one. Present one, will you?
Yeah. Okay. Dear Bhante, I am 17 years old, and here's my sitting meditation experience. I sat down and closed my eyes, and the thoughts that have been flooding my mind become apparent to me. Even though there were several thoughts running through my mind, when I focused on them, they slowed down to the point I could see the content of each thought. I began to see my attachment towards the thoughts and my tendency to interact with them. I tried to be aware of this tendency and attachment. However, at times I found that I have engaged with the thoughts without being aware of it. In watching my thoughts, I further saw thoughts of sleepiness and seemed to constantly overflow my mind. However, I did not get to explore it any further as my eyes opened up after being restless for a while. Please advise me. Thero Saranai, Vanaya. That's the end of the report, Bhante.
Yeah, 3 points that whenever thoughts are there, if you look at it, thoughts will subside sometimes. And when the sleepiness, these things happen, one good tactic is, if you know these are the early signs of sleepiness, you can just open your eyes. And then you can see inappropriate. This atmosphere is not for sleeping. So, but it is a radical one. That also she has done. It's also good, something commendable. So that sleepiness is indicating that main today's subject is the desire. Desire is gone. That is how the sleepiness sets in. That is how the disinterest sets in. This is how the monotony sets in. Early sign is the sleepiness. So when the sleepiness happens, you must try to see the positive side of it. That means mind is inwardly, and there's nothing to hang, nothing to hold into, then sleepiness can happen. So still, if you can aware of that, that's a hilarious, that's a really an achievement, because you can understand the mind without defilements. So therefore, continue. You are on the halfway in the winning battle. You have to continue, and then slowly you will understand early signs of the mindfulness. sleepiness, and you see a wakefulness and awareness of the sleepiness is the answer for that. Or it is giving the catalytic effect. And you have tackled so far very good. But the thing is that you have to practice. You have to continue along this line to get your own confidence. Yes, we can go to the second.
Had the reports I received from the Satipasala Rockhampton. Can I proceed with them?
Yes.
Yeah. Dear Bhante, these are the leftover reports from today's session for Rockhampton Satipasala. Give you advice and we will forward it to the participant. The first one is my son, 11 years old, mindful walking. In mindful walking, I walk under the big neem tree. When I started to walk, the ground was damp as it rained this morning. When I put on in the ground, I felt that the soil would make an imprint and the ground also was cool and moist. I also felt leaves and twigs that felt wet. The air felt cool and it had a slow breeze as well. During the session, I felt that stones hurt my feet, and as they were sharp, I was distracted by that. I said, here now I am, to bring my mind back to the present. I could count up to approximately 10-15 minutes without getting distracted. My main distraction was thoughts, and my primary object was my feet. Mindful sitting. In mindful sitting, I focused on the upper part of my body and sat on a chair. When I sat down, I felt that my head started to bend forward, so I had to frequently straighten my back. In the session, I got distracted a few times. Here now I am to bring my mind back to the present. I also didn't feel anything for a few seconds. This happened occasionally during the session. I could count up to approximately 5 minutes without getting distracted. My main distraction was thoughts, and my primary object was my breath. Thero and Saranai. Sanula. That's the end of the report, Bhante.
This one also, just like the last sitting report, and fairly they managed to go through and the sleepiness sets in, and the 5 breath also possible, noting also possible. So kind of a struggling against the current of the water, but still not washing off. You can just struggle and keep it in the present moment and the present place. Whenever you try, continue, and you can see you can still proceed. You can cut through cut against the current and go forward. So therefore walking is very important. When the sand is wet, you can see the imprint, you can see the coolness, you can see how the sand grains are touching and falling down. So this indicates a success of the walking meditation. Sorry, this is a success of a sitting meditation, because walking was success. So these are the things you have to do, meditate and report. Good. That means we can finish today. It is good to have some kind of meditative experience also together with this theory understanding. So children, just give a cut across. One more report, please, Hari.
Yes, Bhante. This report from Devmi, 12 years old. Mindful walking. While I was doing mindful walking, I was focusing on the lower part of the body. I could do 30 to 40 steps mindfully throughout the session. I heard the sound of footsteps and the sound of the iPad, but that didn't distract my mindfulness. I continued to do mindful walking. I felt the floor touching my heel, arch, toes. I was walking mindfully. Mindful sitting. While I was doing mindful sitting, I was focusing on my breath. I could do 40, just a minute, Bhante. Mindful sitting. While I was doing mindful sitting, I was focusing. I could do 30 to 40 breaths mindfully without the session, throughout the session. I could feel cold air coming in breath, and warmer air coming out of my out breath. I could also feel my shoulders rising up and down as I was. I also felt my tummy rising up and down. Teruan Sarnai Bante, Devmi. That's the end of report, Bante.
So there is no distraction, there is nothing preventing. So she can just increase the time as far as no hindrances, as far as for no distractions, just increase little by little time period. That means continuous the mindfulness, and that will lead you to the quality, the sap of the meditation. So therefore, please increase the time.
There's one short report from Vishmi. Is it possible to?
Okay.
Sorry, Bante, there's one more report. Is it possible to present that as well?
Yes.
Vishmi, 13 years old, from Rockhampton, Satipasala. In mindful walking, I found my path and began walking. In the beginning, my feet. When I lifted and placed my feet, I felt my heels come first, then the arch, then the toes. And when I placed my feet, only the toes and heel became, and not the arch. As I walked, I noticed that sometimes I could increase and decrease speed. I had thoughts during the session. I did mindful walking for 45 minutes, and I could walk for about 20 fully before getting distracted. Mindful sitting. In mindful sitting, I found my spot and began sitting. I began observing my breath. In the first breath cycle, the in-breath was cool, slow and long, and the out-breath was warmer, short and quicker. As I continued to watch the breath, sometimes the breath would change temperature, speed or length. When there was about 25 minutes left, I began feeling sleepy. So I observed the sleepiness, and I noticed that I felt heaviness in my chest. I also noticed that I could still feel at the same time. I had some thoughts during the session. I did mindful sitting for 45 minutes, and I could watch about 100 breath cycles before getting distracted. General mindfulness. This week I studied for my exams mindfully. I made a Google Doc mindfully and typed everything I learned in the term. I ended up getting A+ for my history by studying mindfully. May the Gem bless you. Wish me. That's the end of the report, Bante.
So you also get passed when you people getting A+. We are really entertaining because 45 minutes sitting and 45 minutes walking is a fairly an achievement. So you must have these qualities as far as you are leading this session. So congratulations. Please keep it up. We are going to end the session, Chandratanamdru.
එහෙමයි සායනාස.
එතකොට අපි තා පොඩ්ඩකින් පිටත් වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ඔක session එක end කරන්න.
හරි.
අනුමೋದන කරන්න කියන්න මොනවද කියන්නේ?
එහෙමයි. ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ, so you are participating at 1 p.m. to the Q&A.
Oh, most probably, yes. I try my best.
Okay, fine. So actually today, Lokusananse joined from Kaduwela and two venerables and another layperson joined from here. So we had a successful participation. So with that, we are concluding today's English Dhamma discussion, and we will share the merits by reciting traditional verses. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා සාදු සාදු සාදු